Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Mallard Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. More than 600,000 Hoosiers have gotten their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and another 170,000 are fully vaccinated.
It's incredibly gratifying to see the overwhelming interest in the vaccine, and it's amazing to remember that just 2 months ago, we didn't have a vaccine.
Indiana Senator Todd Young will be one of the jurors in next week's Senate impeachment trial of former President Trump. He voted last week to declare the trial unconstitutional.
I'm hearing that President Trump is now a private citizen. There are other avenues.
February is Black History Month, and we spotlight the Town Clock Church in New Albany, a stop on the Underground Railroad before the Civil War. The community raised nearly $500,000 to keep its history alive. Those stories and the latest news headlines from across the state right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Indiana's COVID death toll is even worse than state health officials thought. The total number of fatalities jumped more than 15% this week after an audit found about 1,500 more coronavirus-related fatalities than previously recorded. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Lauren Chapman reports that includes more than 300 deaths from January.
Indiana surpassed 11,000 confirmed COVID-19 deaths with the state's audit. It also added 28 new suspected COVID-19 deaths, bringing the overall total beyond 11,500. State Health Commissioner Dr. Chris Bach said the audit required matching death certificates with positive COVID-19 tests.
Please understand that never before have local and state departments of health had to present data in real time before it was fully vetted.
The new data painted a bleaker picture of the exponential climb in Indiana's death rate. The state averaged more than 27 deaths per day in October, 64 in November, and 94 in December. The 302 newly reported deaths in January brought its daily average to 57 deaths per day. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Lauren Chapman.
Indiana is administering about 35,000 COVID vaccinations per day. That includes both first and second shots of the vaccine. Now, the state has 259 sites around the state to receive the vaccine, including 6 in Monroe County. Hoosiers age 65 and older are now eligible to get the vaccine, as well as healthcare workers and first responders. Well, beginning Monday, most teachers and students won't have to quarantine after a positive COVID-19 case in the classroom. Health officials say teachers and students still must remain 3 feet apart and wear masks.
Data from individual schools in the state and across the U.S. indicate that it is rare for student infections to occur from exposure in the classroom when all parties are masked.
Bach says the new guidelines only applies to the classroom and not to the lunchroom, athletics, band, or any other school setting where students may gather. The state will also soon send more than 1 million KN95 masks to Hoosier schools, enough for 10 masks each for teachers, administrators, and staff. Well, Indiana would require all nursing homes to allow at least some limited visitation for their residents, even during a pandemic, under legislation unanimously approved by a Senate committee this week. The bill proposes creation of an essential family caregiver program. Under the measure, a person could only be designated an essential family caregiver if they regularly engaged with the nursing home resident at least 2 times a week before any lockdown order. Indiana nursing homes cut off visitation during the pandemic, leaving many Hoosiers isolated from their families.
It is too late for my mom. But you can make a difference in the lives of thousands of people by requiring essential family caregivers access into the homes where their loved ones are waiting.
The legislation also requires nursing homes to allow family members and clergy to visit residents in compassionate care situations, even during lockdowns. Well, nursing homes have been a major issue during the pandemic, accounting for about half of Indiana COVID-19 deaths. Dr. Kathleen Unroe, the center scientist for the Indiana University Center for Aging Research, joins us now. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being here. You know, the bill we mentioned earlier would require a visitation program, but there's not much the state could do if a facility decides not to designate an individual as essential. So what would a family member have to do to ensure visitation?
So I am not familiar with the legislation itself, but we already have policy on the books through regulation through our Department of Health regarding essential family caregivers. And what that policy states is this is for family members or other supportive caregivers of nursing home or assisted facility living residents who would come into a facility and provide care and support. It could be helping set up meals, could be helping with grooming, it could be helping with just companionship, and would come in once to twice a week at least for up to 2 hours at a time. So we are actually one of only about a dozen states that already has regulation around essential family caregiver programs like this. Prior to the pandemic, when not just Indiana, but nationally, on March 12th, all nursing homes had to close their doors. We didn't need legislation like this, I don't think. You know, nursing homes were much more open for people to come in and out of.
So is there any evidence family visitation contributed to the surges that we saw earlier this spring and summer in these long care facilities?
There's absolutely no evidence. In fact, Indiana has allowed a bit more visitation than other states, but still, as you can hear by the anguish in the person's voice who spoke, it has still been very limited. So no, there's no evidence that the visitation that has occurred has contributed to spread.
And Doctor, we just have a few seconds. What can we take away from this pandemic with nursing homes?
People in nursing homes were already isolated from the community. The pandemic has made that 1,000 times worse. We have a lot of making up to do. After vaccination, I hope that we'll be able to see much more opening up of nursing facilities. Nursing home residents and their families do need to be reconnected.
All right, Doctor, thank you very much for being with us today.
Absolutely.
Well, next week, the U.S. Senate will vote for a second time to convict former President Donald Trump. The move could bar Trump from running for public office again. Trump's legal team is expected to argue he cannot be impeached because he no longer holds office, while continuing to reiterate false claims that he won the election. Reporter Brock Turner has more.
After being banned from Twitter and voted out of office, former President Donald J. Trump remains in the spotlight. Next week, the Senate will hear arguments for and against convicting the twice impeached former president. Senate Democrats are expected to vote in favor of convicting, but whether they'll secure the votes from 17 Republicans is unknown. Indiana Senator Todd Young claimed this week he'd listened to both sides, but questions the constitutionality.
It's ambiguous. It was written ambiguously, but there are serious legal questions as I enter what we now know will be a trial, and those will be briefed before us.
Paul Helmke, the former Republican mayor of Fort Wayne and professor at Indiana University's O'Neill School, believes the Constitution is clear and that former office holders can be barred from holding office.
Once you have removed someone for office, they are by definition a former office holder. If a year ago the Senate had convicted him and removed him from office, they then could have voted on whether to disqualify him from holding office in the future. But when they took that vote on disqualification, he would have been by definition former President Trump.
Young echoed sentiments from Trump's legal briefs submitted earlier this week, claiming the former president is a private citizen, thus is not able to be impeached.
I'm hearing that President Trump is now a private citizen. There are other avenues for those who want to, hold him to certain charges. There are other venues for that.
Helmke sees it differently and insists that courts can't bar a citizen from running for office.
If there's a concern that Donald Trump could run again, and he's made noises to that effect, and if there's a concern that because of what he's done, particularly around the January 6th events, makes him a future danger, the only way to bar Trump from possibly getting back into office is to take this step, to try him under the impeachment provisions, to convict him under the impeachment provisions, and then to bar him from holding office in the future.
If all Senate Democrats vote to convict, 17 Republicans would need to join them to result in conviction. Then the Senate could decide to bar him from running again. Helmke doubts that will happen, but says he would vote to convict.
I think a lot of them will just take an easy escape and say, gee, I don't like what Trump did, or, we don't know for sure, what role Trump played in this, but it's, since he's out of office, it's too late for us to weigh in. So I think they'll try the procedural dodge.
Why do you think they'll do that? Just because it's
I think there are a lot of elected officials on the Republican side that are still afraid of Donald Trump and afraid of him stirring up their voters. And so they, this way they can sort of vote on Trump's side, but without saying that they necessarily defend what happened.
Indiana's other Republican Senator, Mike Braun, who has embraced unverified election fraud claims from the 2020 election, did not respond to a request for comment. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.
Now, Young was among 10 GOP senators who met with President Biden earlier this week to discuss differences on a COVID-19 economic relief package. Young and the president disagree on direct payments to the public. President Biden is proposing $1,400 checks, and Young wants them to be $1,000. He cites a study from Harvard economist Raj Chetty, which examined how some Americans spent the last round of checks.
If you have a household income of $75,000 or greater, you know how much of that $600 was spent on average? 14.
The stimulus package is expected to pass along party lines. Well, Bloomington is one of 9 cities in Indiana that will work on projects to reduce their impact on the planet. As Indiana Public Broadcasting's Rebecca Thiel reports, they're taking the next step after completing their greenhouse gas inventories over the past 2 years.
By the end of the year, nearly 40 local governments covering almost half of the state's population will be working on some kind of emissions reduction strategy. Andrea Webster is the implementation manager for Indiana University's Environmental Resilience Institute, which created the program.
It's just so exciting to see this happening in a state like Indiana that has been behind for a while, and we're catching up.
Cities taking part in the next step of the project will work with ERI to make their communities electric vehicle friendly, lessen barriers for solar projects, and find more efficient ways to treat wastewater, which is one of the biggest sources of emissions in local government buildings. Webster says cities still have time to sign up for this year's program. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. We begin our look at Black History Month with the trip to New Albany, where the community came together to restore a church that was a stop on the Underground Railroad. And the pandemic has led to a lot of confusion about whether it's safe to bring reusable bags into grocery stores. Ahead, the risk of spreading COVID with reusable bags. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
Stay close to Indiana Newsdesk as we trace education issues all the way from the Capitol to your child's classroom. So many topics that arise each year in the State House affect what happens every day in the schoolhouse. The WTIU News Team is committed to helping you stay up to date with the issues that affect your family's future. Keep yourself informed. Tune in to Indiana Newsdesk, your source for regional and state in-depth news.
Ready to watch the best of PBS anytime, anywhere, on nearly any device? It's easy with the PBS Video app. Simply download the PBS Video app on your mobile or streaming device. Now you can watch the latest PBS episodes or catch up on the shows you missed, discover new favorites from PBS, and local content from your PBS station.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. The pandemic has led to a lot of confusion about whether it's safe to bring reusable bags into grocery stores. Now, while some stores allow them, others don't. As Indiana Public Broadcasting's Rebecca Thiel reports, the science on how the virus spreads has evolved, and some question the need to continue reusable bag bans.
It's a pretty day.
The environment has been important to Claire Skehan of Indianapolis for a long time. She's vegetarian, she recycles, and of course, she always brings her reusable bags to the grocery store.
This is my AARP bag. It's got a nice little pouch on it.
But since the pandemic, she's been forced to use plastic bags. Skehan says her grocery stores do allow reusable bags at the self-checkout, but she has trouble putting items on the conveyor belt. She has severe arthritis and a condition that puts pressure on the nerves in her spine.
Clerks don't want to touch my stuff because I guess they think I could give them, they could pick up a virus that way. It has to be their bags.
Of the grocery store chains we found in the state, about half of them either no longer allow reusable bags or limit where customers can use them. But just how likely is it that a reusable bag could spread COVID-19? When the pandemic first hit the U.S., scientists weren't as sure about how the virus spreads as they are today. They thought touching an infected surface and then touching your eyes or mouth could be a big contributor. Kevin Slates is a clinical associate professor in Indiana University's School of Public Health and directs its industrial hygiene lab. He says now we know the main way COVID-19 spreads is from person to person, so when an infected person coughs or talks, and not from touching something like a grocery bag.
They need a host to live, and that's a good thing. So when the virus is deposited on the surfaces, they're not very stable.
Slate says environmental conditions like temperature and airflow also weaken the virus.
What I would say the risk is low. Is there a risk? Yes. Is it a primary route of exposure? No.
Even so, the science on COVID-19 is evolving all the time. Slate says grocery stores are likely acting out of an abundance of caution to keep their employees safe. We reached out to several grocery store chains in Indiana, but all of them declined to be interviewed. But this perception of single-use plastic bags as more sanitary has had a much wider impact than grocery stores alone. In mid-March, the Plastics Industry Association asked the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to speak out against plastic bag bans, which it said were putting the public's safety at risk. And some states have put their plastic bag bans on hold because of the pandemic. That's caused some concern among groups trying to reduce plastic waste. Miriam Gordon is the policy director for Upstream. She says her group has spent the past 15 years advocating for laws that encourage the use of reusable bags.
We saw this as a big threat to all the progress that we had made.
But Gordon says many of the states that initially halted their plastic bag bans have put them back into effect. And she feels confident that once the pandemic is over, grocery stores won't see a need to prohibit reusable bags. Though the risk is low, there are things you can do to help make sure your reusable bags don't spread COVID-19.
I really encourage people to use the grocery bags that are made out of cotton or any kind of washable fabric. It could be like polyester or nylon, but as long as it's able to be washed in a washing machine at a higher temperature.
Sinclair says you should also try to leave your bags in your cart instead of putting them on the checkout counter, which is a breeding ground for all kinds of germs.
And then the other thing on top of all of this is, of course, wash your hands before and after you come out of the grocery store, because it's a huge place and it's got a lot of people moving through it. So the best thing to do is wash your hands.
Neither the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention nor the state of Indiana has released guidance on whether or not reusable bags should be allowed in grocery stores during the pandemic. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
And the state's Fraternal Order of Police is trying to get the legislature to support a bill that would turn almost anyone who participates in a protest that turns violent into criminals. The legislation is aimed at last summer's Black Lives Matters protests. Among the bill's provisions is making violating curfew a Class B misdemeanor. It also says that if anyone at a riot is killed, all of the rioters could be charged with felony murder. And if a protest turns violent, anyone at the protest can be charged with a Class B misdemeanor.
It's common sense. It's needed. It's needed years ago and even more necessary today.
The Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Council, the Public Defender Council, and the Hoosier State Press Association also opposed the bill. The bill will undergo changes in the coming weeks. The Monroe County Community School Corporation hired Jeff Hauswald as its new superintendent. Hauswald has served in the same role for the Kokomo School District since 2010. He was approved by a 4-to-1 vote with 1 abstention. He will succeed Judy DeMuth, who delayed her retirement because of the coronavirus. Hauswald said he's ready to get to work.
How do we meet the needs of individual learners, but particularly in an equitable way for our students? So there's so many challenges facing us, but I'm confident with the experts around that they'll have no trouble meeting those challenges.
Hauswald officially takes over as superintendent on July 1st. Until then, he will spend some time in the community to get transitioned into his new role. In the historic city of New Albany, one landmark towers above the rest, a 170-year-old church that was once a stop on the Underground Railroad. Mitch Legan reports on the community's dedication to keeping its Black history alive.
The Reverend Leroy Marshall didn't really want the job when he first applied.
I didn't think much about it, and then they called me back and asked me to come back, and came back again, and kicking and screaming, I became pastor.
Then assistant pastor of a Baptist congregation in Louisville, Marshall didn't know much about the old rundown church just a few hundred yards north of the Ohio River.
It was a mess.
But he took the job at the church with its broken windows and leaky roof, and is glad he did. If he hadn't, he says one of Indiana's most important historical locations was on its way to being condemned.
It's one of the keys to the Underground Railroad in this area. And you can't underestimate the importance of this congregation.
The building is called Town Clock Church because of its 160-foot clock tower. It was built in 1852 for a congregation of Presbyterian abolitionists. New Albany's location on the Ohio River made it a hub for commerce and shipbuilding, and its position right on the Mason-Dixon line made it a hub for African-American activity.
It was just an extremely important area because of the African-American communities on both sides of the river helping each other, and then the connection with the community here and the New School Presbyterians at this particular place.
Since New Albany depended on business with Kentucky, the city had a reputation for being pro-slavery. But convinced of slavery's evil, the Presbyterian congregation went out of its way to help escaped blacks, and the church became an integral stop on the Underground Railroad.
So the idea maybe have been to give them shelter here for a night, maybe down here, maybe not. I mean, sanctuary is called sanctuary for a reason.
Peterson says the church itself was likely more of an organizing place for local abolitionists, and much of the actual work would have occurred at missions established on the riverbank.
They helped them there with food, with clothing, with, yes, a way to get out of this dangerous Ohio River Valley.
Those who made it to New Albany weren't safe by any means. Slave catchers were often in hot pursuit, and the nation's fugitive slave laws meant returning enslaved people to Southern owners could be lucrative. And while the end goal was to get to the wilderness north of Salem, those who saw the church's soaring clock tower knew freedom was within reach.
Word passed around with them that this was a place of safety, that if they could just get over here, it was like a pot of gold. If they could just get across to that, over that ribbon of water to that church.
So in 2012, when the church was nearing its last legs, Finn, Marshall, and a group of community leaders formed Friends of the Town Clock Church. Earlier fundraising efforts collected $350 auctioning commemorative bricks, but the group estimated it'd take almost $500,000 to refurbish the church.
Most people, when they heard $480,000, said, "We are crazy, there's no way that would happen."
But it did, and it shattered expectations. Today, the church has received nearly $1 million, enough to replace the steeple that had burned in 1915. And there are even plans to build an Underground Railroad center next door.
It's more important than ever to tell the story of people who were willing and courageous enough to do the right thing, and even in the face of great danger.
Marshall agrees and says in light of everything that's happened the past year, Town Clock Church provides an example of Americans coming together for a bigger cause, whether we're discussing events from centuries ago or even ones this decade.
A lot of times we talk about doing certain things along racial lines, and improving racial tensions and that kind of thing. But this community, for 12 years, has been in here with us every step of the way. So it can be done.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Mitch Legan.
That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.